Hello, my name is Occult Microwave. Also have been known over the years as Osama B. Ballin or Osama Bon Jovi or another variation of that. I've been playing gmod on and off for about 2.5 to 3 years at this point, and I have wanted it a way to make a tutorial on. I don't know how long this short little series is going to be. It is the basics of importing items via Blender. It's the basics of Blender, but for Gmod. So, what we will be covering today is the very basics of importing a model from a model website using Blender as a middleman. We're not going to be animating anything with Blender. We are just simply going to be using it as a middleman. So, going on with this, first, with this video, I'm going to make this assumption, making this assumption that you just have freshly installed Gary's mod and have no idea what in the absolute fuck I am talking about, and that is okay. I am here to guide you through the very basics of setting up, of installing Blender, getting prop to mesh onto your add-on system, and then importing a model. Now, first, what you're going to want to do is you go to any Google Chrome or whatever browser you use and look up Blender download. So you go here and you download Blender. I'm using Windows. You might be using Mac or whatever Linux out of the distributions. It's an open source up animation software. So there is any installation you can think of. Personally, I like to run it on my own desktop so I can tab back in and out as I'm working because I find that works better for me. So it'll look something like this. So Blender 4.3. So you load it up and it looks like this. And you might be wondering, okay, what in the absolute fuck are all these tools? Now, granted, I am no Blender expert myself. I do not know how to animate in Blender. This is simply a middleman for modeling, for model importation. It's easier to use. So also at the same time, you need to go to gmod here. So I just have a simple flat grass over it. And you're looking at my tool gun there. It says prop to mesh. You're wondering, well, that's not the base game. Where do I have to go find that? So essentially, you go to the workshop. You go to the Gary's Mod workshop and you look up for something called prop to mesh. This exact name of this add-on, and you add that, and you add that to it. So that's all that's there. So you just need to have this for the time being. Now, when you install it, you might need to shut your game down and restart it because it has to make a file in your system. We will explain all of that here in a second. So now that you have Blender open and running and you have prop to mesh installed, now let's get going on to our modeling website. Now, there's two easy picks for finding models. Now, granted, when we're going to these websites, you need to have a couple things in mind. It needs to be below a certain vertice count, which it can be upwards of like 60 to 7,000 vertices, or it has to be below 5 megabytes in size. Remember, this is a 15-year-old source game. It can't handle the most modern shit. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to search a little bit through this stuff. And luckily there's filters and parameters to some of these websites you can go to figure that stuff out. Okay, so first what we're going to want to do is we're going to go to TurboSquid. TurboSquid is a modeling website that you can find. So generally you could find uh, you can filter by price, by poly count, licensing, and format. Formatting and price are probably the two biggest ones you want to look for because it either has to be a .obj or a .blend when looking. So you can get away with it, and usually they'll have blenders. So like let's say for example, I want to upload, I want to get this. So it's gonna ask me to download. and you see there's a blender.rar file. Now, if it's a .rar file, it's using WinRAR. In WinRAR, if you want to download that, I highly recommend you do this as well. Is you go down to here, you download WinRAR, and you go from there. It's like another file packing system. But so if we're looking for these other ones, so these are ones I've done in the past. So for example, they can come in RAR files, zip files, as long as you know how to extract a file. So like here, let's do this one. So get rid of that. And so it's going to open up here. So you double click it and it uploads it to Blender. Now give it a minute. It's taking a little bit to render. So with these, you can kind of see, so that's kind of what it is. So it Blender renders it as an animation, but this is also just the model as it is. So this is what that looks like right there. So to get this into gmod itself, we have to export it out of Blender. So now that you've imported the model by opening it in Blender, you need to export it. Now, bear with me here. I have already been exporting here, so what's nice with Blender is if you've exported something to a different file folder beforehand, it'll remember the file. But so you're gonna have to export this as make sure it is a .obj when you export it to gmod because it will not work with any other file format. So, it'll generally, when you're opening up the Blender, you will not have that recent folder. You'll just have the volumes. So if we go to our C drive there, we go to Program 86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Gary's Mod again, and then we go to our data. If you've installed Proptimesh and you've restarted your game, you will have something called P2M sitting in your folder. Now this is where all of your stuff will be. All of your Proptimeshes will go. All of them will be. So this is stemmed beer glass.obj. And assuming that that has worked, and well, assuming that it's not a high vertice count, uh, we will go into gmod here. We will right click, or we will left click. Sorry, we will left click to put the chip down. You will right click the chip. It turns blue. Left click again. Sorry, blanking here. You left click to get it down. You right click it, turn it blue. Left click, and then you hold C, and you edit the prop to mesh. Keep in mind you have to hold your C key the entire time you're doing this. So we're looking for our model right there. Now, if you need to write these settings down or something, I don't blame you. But you need to render inside, render invert, and render smooth. This is like the rate it's going to render it. Generally between like 46 to 50. 48 I found is a sweet spot, but generally remember these settings. So you do that, and then you can generally you can't always tell with how big the models are, so you generally want to confirm the changes. And if we get out and we look, our model is imported. Now you're wondering, like, okay, I got the model in, why the hell is it so small? I want it bigger. I want a 17-story beer glass. So generally you go in and you mess with the scale. Now, every time you do this, every time you hit the scale, you have to hit the number and you have to enter till it turns blue. That's letting you know that the chip has registered that. So we do that and boom, look, there it is. And even better, there's nothing known as spaghetti. It's not spaghettiing. So you may be asking me, what in the hell is spaghettiing? Spaghettiing is the fact of where a model, if it's too high in vertices or too big in size, it does something where it looks like it's becoming spaghettied, and there's like little bits and pieces everywhere. Now, I will show you a troubleshooting tip to alleviate that for the most part. So if we take our model here, if you're ever stuck on a screen like this and you can copy the object, I highly recommend you copying it and then uploading it to a regular, because that is more the animation window, and you can't really modify it. So what we're doing here is, let's say that this is totally wrong. Like, it is not importing, it is, like we said, it's spaghettifying, right? So what you do is you go to this little tool icon right here, right? And you add a modifier. And all you do is you search for decimate. So you see, as I tune it down, it's becoming more rigid looking. That's because what is known as the face count, goes down. Now, this is only 840 faces. If it's something ridiculously high, this will give you the way to import the model. And see, if I go down really, really big like this, and it still looks decently okay, I cut that face counter essentially in half. So that is one of the ways you can do that to kind of get away with importing some models. Now, if you tune this all the way down, all the ratio all the way down to nothing, and it's like it gets to the point where it doesn't, it's still too high in poly count, then that model's not going to be able to be used. Now, another website we can go to is, and I know with everything, with some people that I've learned some prop to mesh techniques from, like Yamachima, Bay, and Lack. Sketchfab is a very in a way, no pun intended, sketchy website, because some of the models are really good, some of them are not. In our other videos, I'll show you how to import more complex models, more high resolution ones, but this is just basics. So you can find basic models for stuff like here, and essentially, if it's downloadable, which not all of them are, which is kind of the annoying thing, is at least with Turbo Squid you can download them all. But like, let's say we want to do this F-22 Raptor, uh, can't do that because they're not downloadable. But if you want to do like the Spider Jet model pack, you can download the 3D model and you can do all this. Now, USDS is also a convertible format, but it's almost a mixed bag. So just keep in mind, it's going to, now, I'm doing this all with up to my knowledge as well, but also you can just do all of these other formats. So if there's a GLTF one, you can do like that. You can look at all these here and import them as well. So now that we have our model in Blender, kind of our model in gmod, the only kind of things else you need to really do is you can slap a material on it. So for the sake of it, you have to find where the chip is on it. Okay. So the chip's right there. It's kind of hard to find, but see that.